What's up, gang? 1 second. We're jamming. It's a beautiful day in Los Angeles. Unbelievable. It's one of those days. Come on. I never met a girl like you in my life. Clap your hands, clap your hands. Good dog. All right. It's story time. All right, let me shut that radio off. What's up, my gang? Well, I'm glad to see everybody back in the Philly area, South Jersey, getting some pleasant weather. Over here, 88 degrees, going to be 90, 91 tomorrow over the weekend. I'm doing this video in my car, just pulled up to a house in Redondo Beach where I'm house sitting for the weekend. So, I figure, why not tell a story, right? Everybody likes stories. Seems like everybody likes the Sugar Bear stories. Anyway, before I start, I got a little complaint from the Peanut Gallery. Freddie DeFelice trying to say my stories are too long. I disagree. And I got to explain how, when, where, how I got to that part of the story. And, you know, my method to my madness, you know, I just can't tell a story about Ray Liotta walking in the house, knocking on the door, he comes out, la la la, motherfucking me, and that's the story. I gotta tell why it all happened and how I found out where he lived. So I'm sorry, I gotta give details, and I'm a storyteller, right? So if you disagree with me, tell me. I don't know. Maybe I'll break these stories down a little bit. But anyway, to recap one other thing about when I told the Frank Sinatra story. I found out, I mentioned that I went to the restaurant with Guy Marks in Westwood, and it was called Martino's or Martinelli. What it was, a friend of mine from out here in LA, born and raised, lived out here. He watched the video, and as soon as I mentioned in Westwood, it was a restaurant, it is still there today, he said, called Mateo's. The restaurant was Mateo's. And that made sense to me, and it sounded familiar, and it was Mateo's. It was Sinatra's favorite restaurant when he came out here to the west side of LA. Also, I mentioned about Guy Marks taking me to watch him do the pilot of the sitcom. I said the sitcom was You and I, or You and Me or something, but I come to find out the sitcom that Jack Klugman was involved in was called You Again. So, you know, the memory chip in my brain sometimes is a little off. I gotta whack it, but, you know. So, I want to also say, these stories are all true. You can't make this shit up. You can't make it up. So, right now, I'm going to share a Sylvester Stallone story, how I got a picture with him. Since he's in South Philly doing the movie Creed, keep your fingers crossed. Who knows how that movie's going to be. But anyway, so I'm working at the Holiday Inn. It was a huge hotel, very popular hotel, right on Hollywood and Highland, right in the heart of Hollywood, right around the corner from the Man Chinese Theater. Right now, it's not the Holiday Inn. It's right in the heart where the Kodak Theater is, where the Academy Awards are. It was prime area. A lot of movie stars coming through it and everything. And at the Holiday Inn, we had a parking structure, and they had a couple floors on the ground, and they had a rooftop, like, you know, not covered, outside top of the parking structure, and they used to hold movie premiere parties there. This particular night, they had the Beverly Hills Cop 2 movie premiere there. I'm working a 4 to 12 shift. I already got instructions from the hotel manager. I was working the front desk. She told us nobody, by no means, allowed up there, la 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 la. Well, you know, she can't hold me down, especially when I find out Stallone's going to be there because his wife, Brigitte Nielsen, starred in the Beverly Hills Cop 2. So, I got to get up there. I want to meet this guy. I want to meet Stallone. He's a legend, Rocky, the whole bit. And I sneak up. I think it was on my dinner break or something. I sneak up there, and a buddy of mine, Frank Montoya, who is one of my Facebook friends, he was off that night. He worked at the Holiday Inn, but he had a buddy who at times worked security over there. But this particular, that's a whole nother story for other parties that we got into. But this particular night, I couldn't get in. I got up to the ramp, and I see Stallone, and his back's towards me, and I'm hollering, Sly, Stallone, and he's not turning, and all of a sudden, I just think of, you know what, let me just holler out. I holler out to him, yo, Sly, I'm from South Philly. He turned immediately, like this. He turned, boom, looks right at me. When he turns to me, I mimic to him, I want to take a picture with you, can I? He tells his big bodyguard, and he motions to him, let him in. And he comes over, he walks over to me, brings me to Sly. How you doing, Sly? What's up? I'm Al. I tell him, Al Barbieri, I'm from South Philly. I'm here living. He goes, oh, nice to meet you. I take a picture. If you go in my photo album, I have a picture with Stallone. You will notice Brigitte Nielsen behind him. You see a silhouette of her. You know it's her. You don't see her face because she's right by Stallone. She's much taller than him. She's in a white, beautiful dress. And the big thug guy to the right of the picture is Stallone's bodyguard. That's the guy that took me over there. If you also notice the picture, my friend who took the picture, you can see that the picture's only taken from almost my neck up. As we all know, Stallone is not a tall guy. He's like 5'8". I'm 5'6". He's 5, but you can see he's towering over me. He's wearing heels. He's wearing boots, heels with lifts. It's obvious because Brigitte Nielsen is 6 foot or better with heels. So he's appearing a little taller than he is. I know the jokes will come. So, especially Mike Ferry, he'll throw a joke in there. But anyway, that's my Sylvester Stallone story, how I got to meet him. That was 1987 at the Holiday Inn at the Beverly Hills Cop 2. Now let me tell you about Dom Irrera. This was a cool experience with him because there's an attachment to the story. I'll meet him. I'm at the front desk, and he comes to the front desk, and he gives me his ID, and I see it, Dom Irrera, and I recognize him, and I say to him respectfully, I said, Dom, you're from South Philly, right? Right away, yes. I tell him right away I'm from South Philly, born and raised, and we're just chit-chatting back and forth. And the reason why I'm checking him in, he lived in Hollywood Hills, right next to the Holiday Inn, Hollywood Hills there, and the electric went out, the power went out. It was a very hot night, and he wanted to get a hotel room with air conditioning, and I hooked him up in a nice room, and he was so kind to invite me to the Comedy Store. This is also 1987. And, of course, I took up his invitation. The night he invites me to the Comedy Store, don't you know, now, obviously I don't know who this comedian is, but I'm front row to a young Andrew Dice Clay before he came onto the scene. It was, as you know, his stick was raw, it was rare, it was new, and it was unbelievable to realize after we see him hit the scene and become a big star in the late 80s and early 90s that I got to see Andrew Dice Clay when nobody even knew who Andrew Dice Clay was. And, I just actually met up with Dom again at the Comedy Store. I refreshed his memory. He was cool. He really, it's many years ago. He comes across so many people, but I told him and I thanked him. And because of his relationship with Eleanor Kerrigan and Eleanor being from South Philly, I go there every once in a while, and they're very nice to me, and they hook me up there. So that's the 2 stories I knocked out. So because Freddie DeFelice thinks they're so long, I'm going to shut this one off, and I'm going to come back. I'm going to share my Jim Rome story. I'm going to share how I had to walk from L.A. to San Diego via way my big fucking mouth on a sports talk show. and they challenged me, and I had to walk. Anyway, I'll explain that all to you. And I got other good ones. All right. See you later.